Welcome to Starbound, where every star tells a story. What happens when a peaceful and prosperous alien species are savagely attacked, and the only help they can count on is those bloodthirsty humans? Let's get into the story. The deafening silence of space was shattered by the frantic pulse of a distress beacon. It echoed through the vast expanse, a desperate cry for aid from a civilization teetering on the brink of annihilation. This was a call to arms, a plea for salvation that would only be answered by the boldest, the most daring, and perhaps the most controversial. The Iduan, known throughout the galaxy for their peaceful nature and advanced technology, found themselves under siege. The Crethan, a brutal and expansionist race, had launched an unprovoked attack on their homeworld, a serene planet nestled on the fringes of the Milky Way. The Iduan, unprepared for such aggression, were rapidly losing ground. Their once tranquil cities were now scarred battlegrounds, their harmonious society shattered by the relentless onslaught. The Crethan, fueled by an insatiable thirst for conquest, were a formidable foe. Their warships, bristling with advanced weaponry, outmatched the Iduan fleet. Their ground forces, genetically engineered for combat, were relentless in their pursuit of domination. The Iduan, despite their technological prowess, were outmatched and outgunned. Their once vibrant cities, adorned with elegant spires and shimmering domes, were now pockmarked with craters and scarred by the searing heat of plasma cannons. The Iduan, a people accustomed to harmony and tranquility, found themselves thrust into the brutal reality of war. Their once serene skies were now filled with the menacing shadows of Crethan warships, their peaceful streets echoing with the thunder of explosions and the anguished cries of the wounded. In the face of this relentless onslaught, the Iduan Council convened in a rushed and dire attempt to find a solution. They knew their defenses were crumbling, their resources dwindling, and their chances of survival growing slimmer with each passing moment. But they refused to surrender, their spirits unbroken, their resolve strengthened by the knowledge that they were fighting for something far greater than themselves. In a last hope gamble, the Iduan Council activated their distress beacon. It was a long shot, a plea for help sent into the void, with no guarantee of a response, but they had to try, for the fate of their civilization hung in the balance. The beacon, a powerful transmitter capable of reaching the farthest corners of the galaxy, pulsed with a message of urgency and despair, a cry for aid from a people on the brink of extinction. Days turned into weeks, and still, no answer came. The Iduan's hope dwindled with each passing moment, their spirits crushed under the weight of impending doom. The Crethan, sensing their enemy's weakening resolve, intensified their attacks, their forces surging forward with renewed vigor. The Iduan fought bravely, but they were slowly being overwhelmed. Their cities were falling, their military bases overrun, their once proud civilization reduced to a shadow of its former self. But just as despair threatened to consume them, a faint signal flickered on their sensors. A single ship, a lone responder, was hurtling towards them from the depths of space. The Iduan, their hearts pounding with a mixture of hope and trepidation, watched as the ship grew larger on their screens, its silhouette emerging from the darkness like a beacon of salvation. As the ship drew closer, its identity became clear. It was a human vessel, a warship bearing the insignia of the Terran Federation. The humans, known throughout the galaxy for their tenacity, their adaptability, and their love for conflict, were the only ones who had answered the call. The news of their arrival spread like wildfire through the Iduan ranks, igniting a spark of hope in their weary hearts. The human ship, a sleek and powerful vessel named the Intrepid, entered orbit around the Iduan homeworld. A delegation led by Captain Marcus Stone, a seasoned veteran with a reputation for both tactical brilliance and a certain recklessness, was dispatched to the surface. Stone, a man of few words but unwavering resolve, stood tall and proud in his military uniform. His face, etched with the lines of countless battles, held a stern expression, but his eyes sparkled with a hint of curiosity as he surveyed the alien landscape. Beside him stood Lieutenant Commander Tanaka, a master strategist known for his calm demeanor and sharp intellect. Tanaka's K-9 companion Anya, a magnificent German shepherd with piercing blue eyes, stood at attention, her muscles rippling beneath her sleek fur. The first contact between the humans and the Iduan was a spectacle of contrasts. The Iduan, with their slender forms, iridescent skin, and delicate features, seemed almost ethereal compared to the robust humans. Their graceful movements and gentle voices were a stark contrast to the humans' confident strides and booming commands. The Iduan's initial apprehension gradually gave way to cautious optimism. Stone's blunt honesty and Tanaka's strategic insights resonated with the Iduan leaders, who were accustomed to a more nuanced and diplomatic approach. They found themselves drawn to the humans' unwavering confidence and their willingness to take decisive action. "We cannot match the Crethan's firepower," Stone stated bluntly during a strategy meeting, his voice echoing in the Iduan council chambers. "But we can outmaneuver them, outsmart them. We will strike swiftly, disrupt their supply lines, and sow chaos in their ranks." The Iduan leaders, accustomed to lengthy deliberations, were taken aback by Stone's directness, but they could not deny the logic of his words. The Crethan, confident in their superior technology and overwhelming numbers, had grown complacent. They had underestimated the Iduan's resilience and the potential of their alliance with the humans. Lieutenant Commander Tanaka, meanwhile, focused on integrating the K-9 units into the Iduan defense network. He worked tirelessly with the Iduan engineers, adapting their sensor systems to interface with the K-9's extraordinary senses. He trained the Iduan soldiers in basic K-9 handling techniques, teaching them how to communicate with the dogs, interpret their signals, and utilize their unique abilities in combat. The K-9s, under Tanaka's expert guidance, quickly proved their worth. Their keen sense of smell allowed them to detect hidden Crethan patrols. Their sharp eyesight could spot camouflaged outposts, and their heightened hearing could pick up the faintest of enemy signals. They became the eyes and ears of the Iduan forces, providing them with a tactical advantage they had never before possessed. The Iduan warriors, initially hesitant to work alongside the creatures they perceived as beasts, soon developed a deep respect for the K-9s. They witnessed firsthand their unwavering loyalty, their courage in the face of danger, and their ability to turn the tide of battle with their sheer ferocity and unwavering determination. As the days turned into nights, the unlikely alliance between humans and Iduans solidified. They trained together, ate together, and shared stories of their respective cultures. The Iduan, fascinated by the humans' tales of exploration and adventure, were eager to learn more about their distant world. The humans, in turn, were captivated by the Iduans' philosophy of peace and harmony, their deep reverence for nature, and their advanced technology. But amidst the camaraderie and cultural exchange, the stark reality of war loomed large. The Crethan, relentless in their pursuit of conquest, continued their brutal assault. Their warships bombarded the Iduan cities, their ground forces advanced on the Iduan military bases, their energy weapons leaving behind a trail of devastation. The Iduan, their resolve strengthened by their alliance with the humans, fought back with renewed vigor. They launched a series of daring counterattacks, utilizing their newfound knowledge of Crethan tactics and the K-9's unique abilities to devastating effect. The tide of the battle began to turn, the Crethan's initial confidence giving way to doubt and uncertainty. The momentum shifted, a wave of hope washing over the Iduan forces as they witnessed their once indomitable foes faltering. The Crethan commanders, baffled by the sudden turn of events, scrambled to regain control. They underestimated the resolve of their opponents, the newfound unity that had been forged in the fires of adversity. The final confrontation took place in the heart of the Iduan capital, a sprawling metropolis that had once been a beacon of technological advancement and cultural vibrancy. Now, it was a battleground, scarred by the ravages of war. The once gleaming towers of glass and steel were now shattered and blackened, their once bustling streets littered with debris and the smoking husks of vehicles. The Crethan, desperate to salvage their campaign, had concentrated their forces for a final, all-out assault. They had underestimated their opponents. Their arrogance blinded them to the power of unity and the indomitable spirit of those who fight for what they believe in. The Iduan and human forces, outnumbered and outgunned, dug in for a last stand. They knew the odds were stacked against them, but they also knew they were fighting for something greater than themselves. They were fighting for the survival of a civilization, for the values of peace and harmony that the Iduan held dear, for the very future of their world. The battle raged for days, a brutal and chaotic maelstrom of energy blasts, explosions, and the deafening roar of K-9 units charging into the fray. The Iduan, guided by the humans' tactical expertise and the K-9's uncanny battlefield awareness, fought with a ferocity that belied their peaceful nature. They utilized their advanced technology to devastating effect, their energy shields deflecting Crethan blasts, their drones raining down precision strikes on enemy positions. The humans, meanwhile, employed their signature guerrilla tactics, utilizing hit-and-run attacks to disorient the Crethan forces. The K9 units, their senses amplified by the Iduan technology, wreaked havoc on the enemy lines, their razor-sharp teeth and claws tearing through Crethan armor like paper. The battle reached its climax in the city's central plaza, a vast open space that had once been a hub of cultural exchange and artistic expression. Now, it was a scene of carnage, littered with the wreckage of war. The Iduan and human forces, their numbers dwindling, fought with the desperation of cornered animals, their backs against the wall, their eyes burning with a fierce determination. Captain Stone, his face dire and determined, led a charge against the Crethan command center. His K9 companion, Anya, bounded at his side, her fur bristling with fury. They fought their way through the enemy lines, their weapons blazing, leaving a trail of fallen Crethan in their wake. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Commander Tanaka and Kai coordinated a series of flanking maneuvers, utilizing the K9's speed and agility to outmaneuver the Crethan forces. They struck from unexpected angles, their attacks swift and merciless, sowing confusion and panic in the enemy ranks. The Crethan, their morale shattered and their lines collapsing, began to retreat. Their commander, realizing the battle was lost, ordered a full withdrawal, leaving behind their dead and wounded. The Iduan and human forces, battered but unbowed, emerged from the ruins of their city, victorious. The victory was not without cost. Many brave soldiers, both Iduan and human, had fallen in the defense of their homeworld. Their bodies lay scattered amongst the debris, a bleak testament to the cost of war. But their sacrifice was not in vain. They had saved their civilization from annihilation, and in the process they had forged an unbreakable bond between two vastly different species. The Crethan, their invasion force decimated, retreated from the Iduan homeworld, their dreams of conquest shattered. They had underestimated their opponents, their arrogance blinded them to the power of unity and the indomitable spirit of those who fight for what they believe in. As their ships limped away, they carried with them the scars of a humiliating defeat, a lesson they would not soon forget. As the dust settled and the smoke cleared, the Iduan homeworld emerged from the wreckage, battered but unbroken. The scars of war were evident in the shattered buildings, the scorched earth, and the lingering scent of ozone and burnt metal. But amidst the devastation, there was a sense of renewal, a feeling of hope that had been absent for so long. The Iduan, who had once lived in peaceful isolation, found themselves forever changed by their encounter with the humans and the horrors of war. They had witnessed firsthand the destructive power of aggression, the fragility of peace, and the importance of unity in the face of adversity. They had learned that even the most gentle of beings could be driven to fight when their values were threatened, that courage and compassion could be found in the most unexpected of places. The humans, their mission accomplished, prepared to depart. They had come to the aid of a stranger, a civilization they knew little about, and in doing so they had challenged their own preconceived notions. They had learned that even the most peaceful of beings could be driven to fight when their values were threatened, that courage and compassion could be found in the most unexpected of places. Captain Stone, standing on the bridge of the Intrepid, watched as the Iduan homeworld receded into the distance. Beside him stood Lieutenant Commander Tanaka, his canine companion, Anya, resting at his feet. "They call us bloodthirsty," Stone said, a wry smile playing on his lips. "But it seems we were the only ones who came to their rescue." Tanaka nodded, his gaze fixed on the planet below. "They're a resilient people," he said. "They'll rebuild, stronger than before." Anya let out a soft whine, her tail thumping gently against the deck. Tanaka reached down to stroke her head, a silent understanding passing between them. "It's time to go home," Stone said, turning away from the viewport. "But we'll never forget this place, or the friends we made here." As the Intrepid slipped into hyperspace, leaving the Iduan homeworld behind, a new chapter began in the relationship between humans and Iduans. The Iduan, inspired by the humans' courage and resourcefulness, began to explore new avenues of defense, incorporating elements of human military tactics and K9 training into their own. The humans, in turn, were forever changed by their encounter with the Iduan. They had witnessed firsthand the power of peace, the importance of diplomacy, and the value of understanding different cultures. They returned to their homeworld with a newfound respect for their Iduan allies and a renewed commitment to peace and cooperation. But the story doesn't end there. As the Intrepid hurtled through hyperspace, a sense of unease settled over Captain Stone. The victory over the Crethan was bittersweet, the cost of lives weighing heavily on his mind. He couldn't shake the feeling that their mission was not yet complete. "We can't just leave it at this," Stone declared, his voice echoing through the bridge. "The Crethan need to understand the consequences of their actions." Tanaka raised an eyebrow. "Are you suggesting a retaliation strike, Captain?" Stone nodded, his jaw set in determination. "They attacked the Iduan unprovoked. They need to be taught a lesson they won't forget." The idea was met with a mix of apprehension and excitement from the crew. Some saw it as a necessary measure, a way to ensure the safety of the Iduan and prevent future aggression. Others were hesitant, fearing it would only perpetuate the cycle of violence. After a long and heated debate, Stone's plan was put into action. The Intrepid set course for the Crethan homeworld, a planet known for its harsh environment and militaristic culture. The journey was fraught with danger as the Crethan fleet was still a formidable force, but the humans were determined to see their mission through. Upon arrival at the Crethan homeworld, a harsh, desolate planet dominated by towering fortresses and sprawling military complexes, the Intrepid initiated its audacious plan. The human ship, cloaked in advanced stealth technology, slipped undetected through the Crethan defenses. They utilized their superior sensors and the K-9's keen instincts to navigate the treacherous terrain, avoiding detection and gathering crucial intelligence. The first phase of their mission involved a series of surgical strikes on key military installations. Human special forces teams, accompanied by their K-9 companions, infiltrated Crethan outposts, utilizing stealth, cunning, and overwhelming firepower to disable communication arrays, sabotage weapon systems, and disrupt supply lines. The K-9s, their senses amplified by the Iduan technology, were instrumental in these operations. They could detect hidden traps, sniff out enemy patrols, and pinpoint critical targets with uncanny accuracy. Their ferocity in combat was unmatched, their sharp teeth and claws tearing through Crethan armor with ease. Meanwhile, the Intrepid, its powerful weapons primed and ready, launched a series of precision strikes on Crethan orbital defenses. The ship's advanced targeting systems, guided by the K-9's sensory input, ensured that each shot hit its mark, crippling the Crethan's ability to retaliate. The Crethan, caught off guard by the sudden and coordinated attacks, were thrown into disarray. Their communication networks went silent, their supply lines disrupted, their weapons systems malfunctioning. The Iduan and human forces, working in perfect synchronization, had dealt a devastating blow to the Crethan war machine. But the humans were not done yet. Stone, driven by a desire for justice and a need to ensure the Iduan's safety, ordered a daring raid on the Crethan capital. The Intrepid, its stealth systems deactivated, emerged from the shadows, its weapons blazing. The Crethan, their defenses weakened and their morale shattered, were no match for the humans' fury. The Intrepid's plasma cannons tore through the Crethan capital's defenses, reducing their once proud city to a smoldering ruin. The human special forces, led by Stone and their K-9 companions, stormed the Crethan command center, capturing their leaders and seizing control of their communication networks. With their leadership captured and their communication systems compromised, the Crethan forces were paralyzed. Their ships, scattered across the galaxy, were left without orders or direction. The Iduan, seizing the opportunity, launched a final counterattack, driving the remaining Crethan forces from their homeworld. The victory was complete. The Crethan, once a dominant force in the galaxy, had been humbled, their empire shattered, their will to conquer broken. The Iduan, their homeworld liberated, could finally begin the long process of rebuilding their shattered civilization. The humans, their mission accomplished, returned to their own world, hailed as heroes by the Iduan and their allies. They had shown the galaxy that even the most bloodthirsty of species could be a force for good, that even the most unlikely of alliances could overcome seemingly insurmountable odds. But the true reward, Stone knew, was not the glory or the accolades, but the knowledge that they had made a difference, that they had helped to protect a peaceful civilization from annihilation. As the Intrepid made its way back towards Earth, the victory celebrations were tempered by a somber reflection. While the crew reveled in their triumph over the Crethan aggressors, Captain Stone remained withdrawn, wrestling with the ethical implications of their actions. He found himself questioning the line between justice and vengeance, the difference between protecting the innocent and inflicting punishment. He had seen the fear in the eyes of the Crethan soldiers, the desperation in their final stand. They were not mindless monsters, but individuals caught in the gears of a war machine, their lives sacrificed for the ambitions of their leaders. Stone sought solace in the company of Lieutenant Commander Tanaka, sharing his doubts and concerns. Tanaka, ever the voice of reason, listened patiently, his calm demeanor a soothing balm to Stone's troubled mind. "We did what we had to do," Tanaka said, his voice barely a whisper. "We protected the Iduan. We stopped the Crethan aggression, but we must not let victory blind us to the consequences of our actions." Stone nodded, his gaze fixed on the endless expanse of stars outside the viewport. "We may have won the battle," he said, "but have we truly won the war? Have we simply sown the seeds for future conflict?" The question hung heavy in the air, a silent testament to the moral complexities of war. The humans had intervened in a conflict not their own, driven by a sense of justice and a desire to protect the innocent. But in doing so, they had also become agents of destruction, inflicting pain and suffering on their enemies. The burden of this realization weighed heavily on Stone's shoulders. He had always believed in the righteousness of his cause, the unwavering belief that humanity was a force for good in the universe. But now, he was forced to confront the darker aspects of his own nature, the capacity for violence and destruction that lurked beneath the surface. As the Intrepid entered Earth's orbit, a wave of relief washed over Stone. He was home, surrounded by familiar sights and sounds, the comforts of his own culture. But the memories of the war, the faces of the fallen, the haunting questions that lingered in his mind, would forever be etched into his soul. The humans returned to a hero's welcome, their victory celebrated throughout the Terran Federation. The media hailed them as saviors, their images plastered across every screen, their names whispered in reverent tones. But amidst the fanfare and adulation, Stone remained haunted by the ghosts of his past. He sought solace in the company of his canine companion, Anya. They would often spend hours together walking through the forest near his home, the silence broken only by the rustling of leaves and the gentle lapping of waves against the shore. Anya, with her unwavering loyalty and unconditional love, provided a sense of peace and comfort that Stone could find nowhere else. In the quiet moments, Stone reflected on the events of the war, the choices he had made, the lives that had been lost. He knew that he would carry the burden of those memories for the rest of his days, but he also knew that he had done what he believed was right, that he had fought for a just cause, and that he had made a difference in the universe. Stone resolved to use his experiences to guide his future actions. He would continue to fight for peace, for justice, and for the protection of the innocent. But he would do so with a newfound wisdom, a deeper understanding of the complexities of war, and a greater appreciation for the value of all life. For he knew that true strength lay not in the ability to destroy, but in the ability to build, to heal, and to forge a better future for all. And he was determined to use his strength not to perpetuate the cycle of violence, but to break it, to create a world where all beings could live in peace and harmony.